Turn over to page 36. Okay, so let's discuss how we're going to do this review. Okay, this review does just have 10 problems. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, the issue with this review is that it is a mix-up of proportions and means. You, over the last 2 weeks, did a section of proportions, and then you did a section of means. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is learn how to read a problem and decide if it's a proportion problem or a mean problem. So let's do a couple of those together, all right? Let's look at this first problem. Number 1. Again, I'm on page 36. Okay, read number 1. Look at number 1 while I read it. Here we go. A new soda drink is being market tested. It is estimated that 60% of consumers will like the new drink. A sample of 96 taste tested the new drink. What is the probability that more than 70% of consumers will indicate that they like the drink? Okay, so the first question you have to answer is if this is a proportion problem or a mean problem. How do you know it's a proportion problem? If it has percentages in it, it is a proportion problem. Yes. So this is a proportion problem. So then you're going to come over here. So turn over to page this. You know, and these are small and all. Okay, so you're going to turn over here and. So this is problem number 1. Probably, yeah. Okay, so it's a proportion problem. So I'm just going to kind of help you go through filling these things out. So let's read it. Number 1 again. It said, it is estimated that 60% of consumers will like the new drink. So what is that? And then it says a sample of 96 are taste tested. So N is 96. Okay, good. How about 60%? What is that? That is your P, population P. And the population P is automatically the center of the P hats. The population P is automatically the center of the P hats. Now, let's review here that the standard deviation of the P hats is this formula. Do anybody remember it? P1 minus P over N. Okay? And so let's make sure that we fill in the correct numbers on this. It's the square root of what P goes in there. 0.6 or 0.7. The population P, the 0.6. So it's the 0.6 times the 0.4 over N, which is 96. Okay? And finally, look, I have you a space there for the P hat. Let's look at the problem. It says, what is the probability that more than 70% of consumers? That is your P hat. And which direction are we going? More than. So I want to go P hat greater than 0.7. So here I'm going to fill in my 0.7 here. And I'm finding the probability that my P hat is greater than 0.7. Okay, and then you now go work that problem with your z-scores and everything. Okay? Now, let's just do one quick problem number 2. Let me start you on that. Everybody look at problem number 2 before you finish problem number 1. Problem number 2. The average rent of an apartment in a professionally managed apartment building is $780. You randomly select 9 professionally managed apartments. What's the probability that the average rent is less than $825? Assume that the rents are normally distributed with a standard deviation of $150. So this is a mean problem. What kind of things indicated to you that it's a mean problem? It doesn't have percents in it is a really good way to tell. Plus, it says standard deviation in it. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go over here to problem number, I wonder where it is. Oh, heck. Ah, look at here. Oh, my goodness. The first 5 pieces of paper are proportions. You have to go turn over here to another page a little bit later. Yeah, you got to turn over to page 41 to find if it's a mean problem. So this is our first mean problem. So on page 41 is where we do the work for number 2. So you'll have all the first 5 problems you do will be the proportion ones, and then here's number 2 is on, you're going to write it here. Okay, what did it say that the population mean is? It said what? 780 or 785? Okay, good, 780 with what standard deviation? 150, okay? Did it say it's normally distributed? Yes, it stated it. So we could answer the questions about a single apartment. Okay, that's good to know. Yep, so that means this is automatically yes down below. Okay, what sample size is it talking about on that problem? How many apartments? It was a word. You know, in fact, your packets are, okay, 9. Very good. All right. Now, do you remember that the mean of the sampling distributions will always be the same as up above? So what does this mean right here? It's still 780. But this standard deviation is not 150. What is it going to be?
It's going to be standard deviation over the square root of
Good. So there's that formula for it, and which makes it 150 over the square root of 9, and then you do that math and you get that. Let's see, what is this problem? Let me go look at it real quick to see if it's talking about finding a sample or finding one. What's the probability that the average rent is less than 825? So I guess this means the average of a sample. So that means which ones will I be using? Which numbers do I use? These ones down here. It wants to know, find the probability that you get an average of them that is less than 825. Yep. All right. So there you go. You know, if you're sitting by somebody, you guys might benefit from one person having their, ripping out that page, you know. You may rip that one page out that has all the problems on it so that you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. And then you can staple it back later.